everyone, Andrew here from 8-Bboc.
And I'm Professor K for the Pokemon Evolutionaries.
And though we are a little bit late, we are finally doing our XY10 Awakening of the Psychic King, or Fates Collide in English, set review.
Indeed we are. This is something we always do when a brand new set comes out here on the Pokemon TCG, usually every 3 months or so you guys can always expect a set review between me and my good friend Andrew, aka 8-Bboc. So sit back, get yourself a snack, and enjoy as we go through all of these cards, because we're going to be in for quite a long video as usual.
Yep, let's see if we can get it under an hour this time. Last time it was pretty ridiculous, so
it was.
We're gonna try and do a speed run, so to speak. So, anyways, getting right into it, we've got a Shuckle right here. He's pretty cool because, I mean, when was the last time we got a Shuckle card?
Indeed. I mean, there is one thing that I have to say about this, just because the gimmick behind it is just kind of cool, even though it will never, ever work. The first attack there is Hide Berries. Draw 2 cards and put one card from your hand in the bottom of your deck. You could feasibly use that to put a fossil card on the bottom of the deck, and that way you would be able to utilize your, not a fossil card, I'm sorry, the Pokemon on the bottom of the deck, and utilize your fossil card in order to get that out and actually get something started.
Yeah, I can actually see that now. I didn't really think about that. If you already had the fossil card or Pokemon in your hand, definitely could do that. But it would be a little bit hard, but I mean, hey, it's a basic 80 HP with only 1 energy, so I mean, wouldn't hurt to try, but
it'd be fun.
Yeah, but there are some different ways that you can get bench or fossil Pokemon benched quicker, and we'll be going over that shortly. So anyways, continuing on, we've got Burmy. You can see the trash, what is the other one? Forest Cloak? Something like that?
Sandy Cloak.
There's Sandy Cloak, Trash Cloak, but what's the other one? Plant Cloak? Something like that. So, we're going to be in for fun with that. Next up is Wormadam. Nothing good about this Wormadam. But then we have a Mothim with an ability. Wormathought. Yeah, that's interesting. Spell that T-H-O-T. Wormathought. As often as you like, during your turn, you may move 1 damage counter from one of your Wormadam to another one of your Pokemon. 0 retreat, and I guess if you can get a Wormadam going, then yeah, it could work, I suppose. You'll just have to see what the other Wormadams do. One thing that's fun to know is that up in the left-hand corner, you got all 3 Burmy with the different cloaks on. That
is fairly neat. I noticed that too as we pulled the card up. I hadn't noticed it before.
Yeah, so I do like that.
That's pretty neat. Yep. All right, well, next up here, we've got a Snivy. Nothing too special about it, just a normal, regular-looking Snivy. Next up, we've got Servine, and Servine does have an ability called Snakebind. You can use the ability once when you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon. You flip a coin, and if heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed, which is actually kind of neat. Coin flips are, well, they're coin flips. It's not something that is very consistent, but if it works, it works. And then next up here, we've got a Serperior, which has the ability to possibly be good, but only with Giant Plant Forest. And even then, it's still kind of iffy. Being able to hit for 40 damage for a single colorless energy is really good, especially when your next turn, you're going to be hitting for 60 more damage. And 140 HP Pokemon is usually something that can take at least 1 hit. So you can deal 140 damage in 2 turns.
Yeah, one thing that I want to note about that, 40 damage for 1 colorless is good if you're a stage 2 that can be evolved into on the first turn. If it was not a grass type, that would be horrible.
Yeah.
Just wanted to mention that. But like you said, doing 60 more damage, you're doing the 140 with the 40 already on it. You just have to be able to survive, but that should knock out most basic Pokemon EX. One thing to note is that Servine is Snakebind. I know they evolve into a snake, but they have feet. Like, they slowly regress because he has, Snivy has arms and legs, but then Servine just has legs. And then they go into a snake, so regression as they evolve.
It's the Benjamin Button of the Pokemon world.
Yeah, basically. So moving on, we've got Moltres with, I can't help it, but very neat artwork. I would really love to see Moltres get some love in the future and perhaps get a full art like Articuno and Zapdos.
Even a holo. This isn't even a holo.
Yeah, well, technically, the other ones weren't hollow either. They're only
True.
They only have a slight hollow shimmer on them now that they're full arts. So hoping that Moltres can get a full art in the future. Maybe when we end the XY era and go into the Sun and Moon era, or what they're going to abbreviate as S and M. And that's, people thought Pokemon X was bad enough, but now Pokemon S and M. They're taking a real sexual turn with this. But anyways, we've got a Fennekin along with that Chikorita buddy from XY9.
Yes, we called that earlier when we noticed that the Chikorita was looking through one of Hoopa's rings down onto...
No. It wasn't Hoopa ring. It was a portal.
A portal, I'm sorry. Not Hoopa's
random
rings.
Portal.
Yeah, every time I see those, I always think it's Hoopa's rings. But yeah, it's a
just
portal.
Because all the other Pokemon EX from Bandit Ring and
exactly.
Ancient Origins.
So... in this set, in the future, it's finally joined its friend Fennekin.
Yep. It appears that Chikorita just jumped through, so kind of risky there. So then we've got Braixen or Braixen, however you want to... Yeah, Braixen. It's Braixen. I've heard it's good in Pokken. Haven't used it. I'm a Weavile kind of guy myself. So, anyways, moving on. So we've got Delphox. Delphox is actually, I know it's stage 2. A lot of people are going to complain, it's stage 2, it's not playable. People just don't want to take the time for stage 2s, to be honest. Psycho Storm is actually a very good card, I think. Attack. For 3 energy, you do 20 times the number of energy attached to all of the Pokemon, yours and your opponent's benched in play. That could be very, very powerful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
3 energy is not impossible, especially with Delphox Break. 180 HP, and it has Flare Watch. Once during your turn before you attack, you may search your deck for 1 fire energy and attach it to one of your Pokemon. Obviously, you could do that to Delphox. So, I definitely think Delphox could be a very good card. You just have to figure out how you're going to get it out faster.
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, if you're going to build a deck around Delphox and Delphox Break, even throwing one in from the XY era, it's basically just like Octillery.
So, I mean, you really get the best of both worlds with that. But obviously, you can only use one of the Delphoxes, except if you have it on the bench, but... it's a good attacker too, because it's like a fire Keldeo, so this would actually benefit from the break as well. Yeah, absolutely. So then, do you want to move on from there?
Sure, absolutely. So let's move on here. We are going back to Generation 1 here with a Seal. It's been a while since I remember seeing a Seal card.
Yeah, it has been a long time. I was actually hoping for a Dugong break a while ago, so it didn't happen, but hey, Dugong is in the set at least.
Yep, indeed. And unfortunately, even though they did put Seal and Dugong in here, it's not good at all.
but I mean, hey, it's cute.
It is cute.
It's very basic, but good.
It is. Well, it's a stage 1, but...
bad joke is horrible bad. Jokes, get out.
I know. All right, I guess I'll go ahead and cover our Lord Helix here. We've got Ammonite. Restored fossil, going to be restored from a Helix fossil, which we'll be getting to later on in the trainers, which does evolve into an Ammonite here. And it does have an ability. Once during your turn before you attack, you may search your deck for a restored Pokemon and put it onto your bench.
And one of the ways I was talking about.
Yeah, that's
and especially because you can completely skip this the whole restored and Ammonite step with Archie.
Yeah. You can, and there's another card that'll be getting around the same way with a different card, same style though. But yeah, the attack, 60 damage. I mean, water and a colorless,
Yeah, really, when we get to the next one, I'll weigh in on this line. The only thing I can really say, and again, I'm not going to talk about it too much, but it's probably the most detailed and best looking uncommon card that there could possibly be. It's pretty amazing what they are doing with the artwork.
Yeah, it does. It's very
you guys can't deny that or get mad at me. I'm not saying it for every card. I'm just pointing out the brilliant ones.
Well, ironically, at least in my side of the last set review video we did, a lot of people said they don't mind us talking about the artwork.
Well, so good.
That's a good thing. There are some appreciative people of what the cards look like, not just competitive players. So that's always neat.
So thank you.
Indeed. All right, so almost our break here. This is actually really good, and it would be the only reason why anyone would use this card or use the line in the first place. The ability Dangerous Tentacles. Once during your turn before you attack, you may choose one of your opponent's benched Pokemon EX and switch it with his or her active Pokemon. That's pretty good.
It is pretty good, but I'm going to be the more, not negative or pessimistic, but I'm just going to bring, more situations out where it's just, it does take a lot to get it out just to be able to switch the EX Pokemon, and you can only do it once. I mean, obviously, you wouldn't really want to do it more than once, but I just don't see it being the most played.
Oh, no, absolutely not. I don't see this being in a Tier 1 or even a Tier 2 deck. So, I mean, it's a neat ability. I do like it.
Yeah. I got and it is good in its own right, but you're just going to have to do a lot of setup if you want this to work. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking of using Lord Helix.
Well, if you need a lot of setup, all you have to do is just use a Shaman EX.
I really am getting tired of you. So I'm going to continue on because this is one of the cards that we talked about that we're getting to cover certain cards for ourselves. Glaceon EX, my favorite evolution, but I don't know. I'm kind of tied with Sylveon and Glaceon, but I don't know. Glaceon's been a favorite for a very long time, so I think Glaceon has to have the upper hand. So I'm very happy that they did show Glaceon some love and give it an EX. It's beautiful, and it's actually not too bad. It's not amazing. Don't get me wrong, it's not amazing, but you could find a way to make it work. The first attack, second bite for a water and a colorless, 20 plus damage, and it does 10 more for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So if it has a lot of damage on it, could potentially do a lot of damage for only 2 energy. But Crystal Ray is the one that you would want to look out for most. For a water and 2 colorless, 70 damage during your opponent's next turn. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by evolved Pokemon. So stage 1, stage 2, break, and megas.
What's interesting about that is that it actually has an interesting synergistic combination with Jolteon. Since Jolteon, that attack prevents attacks by basic Pokemon, and Glaceon prevents attacks by evolved Pokemon. So I think that's pretty neat. Yeah. And they both can take advantage of rough seas. So you could actually splash it into a Mega Manectric deck with Glaceon EX as well. Yeah,
and interestingly enough, I also don't think Glaceon EX will be nearly as expensive as Jolteon. So that's good for you collectors out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was fortunate enough to actually pull a Jolteon. It was the one thing that didn't send me overboard into doing something dangerous.
Yeah.
So
same here.
Moving on from there, I think I'll just close out the water Pokemon. Is that cool?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we got White Kyurem. Pretty cool holo. I don't really think it's worth mentioning. Maybe Burning Icicle, 40 damage. If it has Fire Energy, choose 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon, do 20 to each of them. Some people are saying that this could be good. I'm not seeing it. I just don't.
No.
I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. And then for a 2 water and a colorless, 130, but then you can't attack at all next turn. It's not worth it. There are so many better Pokemon that you could be working with and not have to deal with. So anyways, we've got a Binnacle. It's nice to see them as a water type. The Binnacle are fighting over what appears to be a piece of seaweed. So yeah, Binnacle. Now Barbaracle is very, very good in my opinion. Hand Block. You can use this ability if you have a stadium card in play. As long as this Pokemon is in play, doesn't have to be active, just in play, your opponent can't attach any special energy cards from his or her hand. That is devastating.
I completely agree with you. With as much of dominance that special energy has taken over in the format, especially in standard format, even more so than expanded, double colorless energy is greatly abused these days. Not so much anything else. Strong energies kind of fall by the wayside, but being able to block those double colorless energies is just ridiculously good.
I would look out because strong energy, I feel like strong energy has potential to be reprinted. And with the fighting support, again, that it's been getting, you'll see a strong comeback with fighting Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
As we get on to the list later on. So I finished them up. Do you want to go next? Or?
Well, one of the cards we discussed is coming up.
Well, we can go back and forth. So I guess I can do Rotom. Here's Rotom. Artwork super messed up. Tomakozu... did I pronounce that right? Tomokazu Komiya. He's always had interesting artwork. A lot of these artists look like they have dropped acid before doing these cards. There's nothing really redeeming about him. So yeah, that's him. And I guess if you want to do the next one, then I can do the next one.
You said you were covering the Alakazam line.
Oh, I thought I was just getting the Mega, so...
All
right, so we've got Alakazam EX. 160 HP is fairly low, but the ability and the attack is pretty good. Spoon Bending, when this Pokemon evolves into Mega Alakazam, you may place 2 damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon and 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So you might be thinking that's kind of weak, but when you actually see what Mega Alakazam does, you'll change your mind.
Indeed, but before you continue, I just want to throw one piece of information in here. This is the first time I can recall ever seeing an ability that kind of breaks the rule of when it evolves, it losing that ability.
What do you mean?
Okay, what I mean is that like a regular Pokemon EX that has an ability that evolves into a Mega, it no longer has that ability, but this ability only takes effect after it's already been evolved, which means it's only triggered after it's already been evolved. And placing those damage counters. It's usually an ability is only able to be played as long as that Pokemon is that Pokemon, but this is saying it's not even allowed to be used until it evolves. I just thought that was kind of neat.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, they have done a lot of neat things with some of these Pokemon, and we'll be getting to that later in other abilities and attacks as well. They really are changing up. A lot of people are saying, like, it's still feeling like the same format from 5 years ago because with the reprint of a certain supporter, which is going to be very controversial, I think, and a bunch of other stuff. People feel like it's the same format, but they really are doing different stuff. People are just kind of only seeing what they want to see, I think. So anyways, Suppression, place 3 damage counters on each of your opponent's Pokemon that has any energy attached to it. For a Psychic and a Colorless, again with Dimension Valley, I shouldn't say again, but with Dimension Valley, that's 1 energy. So that's pretty good. But then Mega Alakazam EX, 210 HP is pretty solid. And then Zen Force for a Psychic and a Colorless. By the way, the Zen Force, what they're doing with the text is pretty cool, I think. I think a lot of people did like the Scizor because they're interacting more with the text, and I like that. 10 plus damage, and it does 30 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So, example, if you have, let's say, 6 damage counters on it, that is what? 180 plus the 10 that's already on there. So
190.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, like plus the 10, so that's 190. But then you still have the 6 damage counters on there. That's 250 damage.
40.
Wait, where did I go wrong?
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's 250. I knew I was right.
You're right.
250 damage knocks out any Pokemon EX, like Wailord, for example, unless it has a Fighting Spirit Belt attached to it, of course. But knocks out virtually everything, and you just have to have 6 damage counters on it, which with cards like Trevenant Break, or even using his ability with another card that got reprinted that I'm very happy about, but maybe controversial, can really make this super, super powerful. And you'll see why later. So we'll talk about it. So I'm gonna let you talk for a little bit now.
Yep. All right. Let's move on here. We've got a Sideways Coughing along with a Wormadam and a Cinccino for whatever reason. Nothing special about it, but it's just a Coughing. Next up, we got a Weezing. Again, it's a Weezing. They're usually not that good, I've noticed. Next up here is a Pokemon.
It's unfortunate.
It is.
I would like a Weezing EX. That would be nice.
I don't know. Well, I can't say I would be against it. It'd be something different for once.
Well, I mean, they had Manaphy EX. I mean, you could do a lot more with Weezing, I think. But anyways, off of Weezing.
Indeed. All right, so next Pokemon here is something that I'm actually really happy to see. We've got Mew, which is a basic Pokemon, non-EX this time. Granted, it's only 50 HP.
Yeah, that's pretty hurtful there. Even 60 would have been better.
It is, but the newest versions of Night March are actually utilizing Fighting Spirit Belt more and more. So, I mean, it is going to be 90, but you're still only giving up 1 prize. And in Night March, it's a deck that has a low HP Pokemon to begin with. The ability Beginning Memories, this Pokemon can use the attacks of each of your basic Pokemon in play. You must still have the necessary energy required to use the attack. So it is basically a reprint of Mew EX in non-EX form for only your own Pokemon.
And it's only basic Pokemon as well. Remember,
Yes.
Mew EX could copy any attack, where this is just basic, but being that this Pokemon's only going to be used for Night March,
Yep.
it's a no-brainer. Very good.
This brings even more strength to Night March that doesn't really necessarily even need it, in my opinion. Fighting Fury Belt, you got 90 HP, you're going to hit for 10 more damage. I think it's really, really good, and I'm very happy to see it back.
And Encounter is not a bad attack either. Now, I'm going to have to wait for the English translation, because this is how I interpret it. Search your deck for a Pokemon card, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. I interpret that as, I don't know, like, when they say Pokemon card, I think just any card. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see.
Just because, like, when it's translated from Japanese, it can be taken quite literal sometimes, and the English translation is different. So I want to see if that says one card from your deck, or if it's a literal Pokemon card, meaning
Yes.
basic, an EX, anything like that. But regardless of what it is, that is still good for a colorless, which is virtually free.
Exactly. So if you're in a position in Night March where you don't have a double colorless energy to attach to one of your Night Marchers or this Mew, you can always take advantage of the Dimension Valley that you're going to be using in this deck in the first place and actually search, potentially, given the translation, for a double colorless for the next turn and just sacrifice the Mew.
Yeah, so we're going to have to see how that actually plays out in English, but regardless, even if it's just searching for a Pokemon, I think that's fairly well. And I don't know if it was mentioned, but zero retreat cost. My mouth is getting kind of dry.
Oh, yes.
Zero retreat cost is very good.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. Good eye on that one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so moving on here, we're going to take a look at Spoink. It's a Spoink.
Spoink. They made the orb look nice.
They did, and that Spoink is extremely high up. I've never seen a Spoink bounce that high.
Oh yeah, that is pretty high. Well, I mean, it has to keep bouncing or it's dead. So.
Yeah, to keep its heartbeat going. So there's Spoink. We've got a Grumpig here. Unfortunately, it's a very small image, so it's hard to see, but there's actually quite a bit going on here. Grumpig's performing on a stage for a bunch of adoring... I think those are... can't tell if there's Pokemon, people, or both. I think
there's
it's both.
I'm seeing
Wigglytuff
for sure. I can't tell what's that on the very left. Part of me thinks it's a Pokemon, but it just isn't looking like any Pokemon I know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
Minchino. It could be a... Yeah, you're funny. Oh, yes.
So anyways, Exploud is performing with him, and that was a key indicator of Exploud. I'm hilarious, aren't I?
Yes. Well...
Boo-boo.
Uh-huh. All right, so I'm actually going to cover the next Pokemon line as well. We've got Solosis here, Mini Link, 10 damage, and if there's any other Solosis on the bench, it does 30 more damage. And keeping in true form with that attack, Duosion gets a little bit better with Double Link, does 10 damage, and if there's a Solosis on your bench, it does 30 damage more. And if there's a Duosion on your bench, it does 60 more. Right now, we're kind of thinking that these attacks can stack.
Yeah.
So, you're looking at 30 and 60 if you have a Solosis and a Duosion plus the 10. So that's 100 damage with Dimension Valley. That could be for a single Psychic Energy. And then Reuniclus goes right along with that as well. Link Fusion, 10 damage. If there's a Solosis, does 30 more. If there's a Duosion, it does 60 more. If there's a Reuniclus, it does 90 more. And yes, they stack, so you can hit for up to 190 damage. Possibly
Plus the initial 10.
Yeah, plus the initial 10. So, yeah, that's... Actually, no.
No. They were saying 190 total.
190 total.
Dang you, water Pokemon Master.
With a Muscle Band, you can hit for 210, knocking out even some of the more popular Megas. So I think that's pretty neat. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and one RT cost. I'm gonna not try to say the TR sound. It's not working with the dry cotton mouth right now. One thing that I want to say is that Reuniclus really does disappoint me sometimes. Being that it's a stage 2 with 90 HP is like a major drawback, and I feel like a lot of Reuniclus cards are like that. On top of the fact that he really, like, they never do anything different with poses. Like, I mean, the thing is, a lot of people might say, oh, you can't do that much with Reuniclus, but I mean, look at what they've done with, like, Clef Key cards, for example. I mean, he's a set of keys, you know, I love him, but he really is just a set of keys. You'd think they wouldn't be able to do too much with him.
Except give him a baby form.
I hate you.
All these Twitter references, guys.
Yeah, but anyways, I feel like they could do more. I feel like this is the same Reuniclus card we've always gotten, but obviously it's not. Yeah, whatever. Speaking of Klefki, how great would it be if they had a Klefki card where the artwork was just Klefki laying on a side table?
Or stick him in a lock.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty hilarious.
It would.
So moving on, we've got Kabuto and Kabutops. I'll show the Kabuto and then the Kabutops, which I'll talk about. Shout out to Fredomon.
I was about to say that.
He was very sad that it's not hollow, and to be fair, it is kind of BS. I will say that, but 150 HP, pretty solid, and it's not that bad. There's some setup involved, but it could work. Stick 2 for 2 colorless, 50 damage, heal from this Pokemon the same amount of damage this attack does to your opponent's active Pokemon. So you throw, let's call it even 2 strong energy, because that's going to be more possible with an upcoming card. So 2 strong energy, you're doing an additional 40, so that's 90. Let's say you add a muscle band that is 110. Then you have Fighting Stadium, that's 130. And let's even say you have Regirock EX on the bench. I know we haven't got to him yet, but let's say you have 2 of him on the bench. What is that up to now? 150?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 150 damage. So you're constantly doing a full heal and doing a massive amount of damage. And you can get him out with Maxi. Yep. So I think that's fairly good, but it's a lot of setup. X Scissors, 80 damage. Flip a coin if his heads does 60 more. That's not good. But that first attack is the only redeemable quality about that Kabuto. So I did say some good things, Fredo, so don't complain.
Indeed. Next up here, we've got a Larvitar. Just a Larvitar. Next up is Pupitar.
Just Pupitar.
Next up here, we've got the Sandy Cloak version of Wormadam. Nothing really special about this either, to be honest, except for it does have an attack that has some synergy with Motham, doing 120 damage potentially for 3 energy. Still not great.
Yeah, I mean, but if you attach strong energy and take advantage of Fighting Sport, it could do a lot of damage, but for 3 energy, there's much better options.
Especially at 110 HP for a stage 1, by the time you're powered up, you're going to get knocked out anyway.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Riolu. Riolu, again, it's just a Riolu.
Yeah.
I will let you cover the next card.
All right, we've got a Carbink here with a fairly nice ability, Energy Keeper. As long as this Pokemon is in play, your basic Pokemon's basic energy cannot be discarded by effects of your opponent's Pokemon's attacks, abilities, or trainers. So that is a very nice ability. Now, I know some people, depending on how they play, are going to want to run the different Carbinks, and I'll get to the other Carbink later. We're going to have to throw up a image on the screen for that next Carbink, but that's not until later. So yeah, pretty nice, I think, with that ability. And Stone Edge is not worth talking about. So moving on, we've got Zygarde 10% form, which is obviously the dog form. Very, very cool. I do like that a lot. I guess Aurora Break or Aura Break is worth talking about. For fighting in a 2 colorless, 70 damage. The Darkness or Fairy Pokemon that was damaged by this attack cannot attack during your opponent's next turn. So that's interesting, I guess.
It kind of links it up to the Xerneas and Eviltal.
Yeah. So that's pretty okay, I suppose. And then I'll just cover this last one and then you'll get the next one. We've got Zygarde. He's a holo and nothing really worth talking about. I guess Geostrike is 120, 10 to each of your Oh, each of your bench Pokemon. So yeah, that's actually way worse. I thought it was your opponent's bench Pokemon, but
Ew.
nope, it's yours. So terrible, and it's not even going to be a holo in English. So I'm going to get that out of my face, and then I'll leave you to the next one.
All right, next up here is another evolution here in the set in Umbreon EX. It's got 2 attacks, Night Veil, 20 damage, discard any number of cards from your hand, and then draw an equal number of cards from your deck. And then there's another attack that I think is really, really cool. It has some synergy with a card we're going to be talking about a little bit later on here. But Endgame, for a darkness and 2 colorless energy, does 70 damage. And if the damage from this attack knocks out your opponent's active Mega Evolution Pokemon, take 2 additional prizes. So you're able to take 4 prizes for knocking out a Mega Evolution Pokemon if you're able to do it with Endgame.
Yeah, and that's specifically why it's called Endgame, because by that point, the game's done. Like, there's no coming back from there. But mind you, it's damage from this attack, so you can't do any, poison tricks or whatever, because that would be damage, Pokemon being knocked out from poison, not from damage. So keep that in mind, that it has to be a straight up knockout with this Pokemon. But being that it's basic, you could do Fighting Spirit Belt, do an extra 10 damage, and then even have a solid 210 HP on Umbreon. So definitely very, very good. I remember telling Professor K about this at first, and he wasn't so sure, but I think he's lightened up to Umbreon EX a little bit.
Yeah, because, there are still Mega Evolution Pokemon that are very playable.
Especially Mega Alakazam.
Mega Alakazam is definitely a thing. Mega Manectric is still definitely worthwhile. Kyogre and Groudon are still seeing some play as well, so, yeah, it could be good, and then, not to mention there's a card that'll help it out even more as we get further down the line. So we're going to jump to the next card here. Tyranitar, shout out to Water Pokemon Master trying to be funny, evolves from Puputar.
Hilarious.
Good job. Ability is Roar of Anger. You may use this ability when you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon. Attach as many dark energy cards from your discard pile to this Pokemon as prize cards your opponent has taken, which is really, really awful. Unless you're evolving this thing at the end of the game when your opponent has 1 prize left, it's pretty bad, because you need 5 dark energies to use Dark Mountain, which does 150 damage, and then you discard two cards off the top of your deck, and it does 50 damage for each supporter card discarded in this way. So you can hit for up to 250.
For retreat, by the way, for retreat.
Yeah, and for retreat, I just no.
It's terrible. I don't know what they were actually thinking when making this. Perhaps they weren't. This is comically bad. It's like, you thought Wailord was bad, but oh boy, you have no idea. This thing is just a disaster.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Nah, let's just move on. So I'll cover the next few. We've got Volibee. I never really noticed on the eggshell for Volibee there's a little heart. Never noticed that. And then we've got Mandibuzz. Unfortunately, we will not be getting the Mandibuzz break with this, but there are 2 other break promos coming out, Crobat and Ho-Oh, so I really do imagine we'll be getting those as either another break evolution box or maybe even our first set of break tins. Who knows? Was there anything good about this? I guess Bone Drop is kind of cool. For 1 colorless, choose one of your opponent's Pokemon that has an ability, and it does 60 damage to that Pokemon. That's not...
Shaman Bait.
Yeah, so definitely not horrible. Especially with Mandibuzz Break. We don't have it up here, and we're not really going to talk about it because it's not going to be in the set, but no matter. Moving on, we've got Wormadam. This is probably the only quote-unquote playable Wormadams. I just don't imagine it working very well. But it has Revenge Attack for 1 metal. It does 20 times damage, and it does 20 times the number of damage counters on this Pokemon. But that's not really a lot of damage when the max it can have on it is 90.
Yes, but it also has the synergy.
9 damage counters, that's my bad.
It also has the synergy of Wormathought as well, being able to move the damage.
Yeah, so No. But you have to have damage.
It's gimmick, yeah.
But the thing is, you have to have damage on another Wormadam. That's the thing. It moves damage from one Wormadam to any other Pokemon. So
it's still very gimmicky, but it's neat.
Yeah. So moving on, I'll cover these next three, and then you want to go from there.
Sure.
Okay, so we got a Bronzor. Pretty cool. Then we've got Bronzor.
Whoa.
What?
Okay, way to go, Water Pokemon Master. Weakness, Grass ×2 on Bronzor.
I feel like that must have been a joke. There's no way he could have purposely done that.
I don't see why.
So anyways, we've got Bronzong. Again, the artwork on this is pretty powerful. And I love when Pokemon that have break cards kind of have the golden glow behind them, like they're about to quote-unquote evolve. So we've got Steel Fortification, basically bench barrier. As long as this Pokemon is in play, prevent all damage done to your bench Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon's attacks. So that does not prevent placing damage counters, but it does prevent stuff. So that's good. And then what is that? Guard Press, 60 damage during your opponent's next turn. Damage done to this Pokemon is reduced by 20. Nothing special. But Bronzong Break is definitely a very interesting one. Metal and colorless, golden shout of rain. Discard as many metal energy attached to this Pokemon as you like. For each energy discarded in this way, choose the same number of your opponent's Pokemon. You may choose the same Pokemon twice. This attack does 30 damage to each of those Pokemon for each time you choose them. Do not apply weakness and resistance.
You can't do things like that to me.
It was a simple mistake.
Oh man. Yeah, so Bronzong Break is pretty neat, even though I feel like it'd be better if you could discard as many metal energy as you like from any of your Pokemon. The fact that it has to be from Bronzong is the only thing I think hinders this type of ability, or this type of attack.
Yeah, but if you use the other Bronzong...
Metal Links, yes.
Yeah, you can attach it to him, right?
Of course you can. Yeah. You can. As long as he's on the bench.
Yeah, so... I don't think that's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, well, getting him out of the active spot is only going to be the main issue, and there's a pretty hefty retreat cost on all Bronzongs that I'm aware of. So if you're discarding from...
you're going to need a lot of switches, basically.
Yeah, either that or you're going to need Zoroark with a Float Stone.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what happens with that, but it's definitely interesting, and it's possible that it could work. So.
Yep. All right, next up here, we've got Lucario.
Oh, very tiny.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't get any bigger than that. But
I hear that all the time.
I was gonna say something to that effect, but I decided not to. Anyways, Lucario is a really, really interesting Pokemon. It is a Metal type, which I think this is the first time we've seen a full Metal type Lucario. I think.
No, I think we've had one or two.
It's been a long time then.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, there was the dual type one that was metal if you had metal energy attached to it and also fighting at the same time, but it's been a while since we've seen a full metal Lucario. But anyways, the first attack isn't really what you're going to be using this card for, but it is pretty good. For a single battle energy, Vacuum Wave does 50 damage, and it's not affected by weakness or resistance, and Fight Alone is what makes this card potentially very, very powerful. 30 damage, and if you have less Pokemon in play than your opponent, the attack does 60 more damage times the difference in the number of Pokemon you and your opponent have. So if you have one Pokemon and your opponent has 6, the attack does 30 damage plus 60 times 5, because there's a difference of 5 between yours and your opponent's if you have 1 and they have 6, for 330 damage. That's insane.
Yeah. Now, at first, I thought there had to have been a mistranslation there. But when you think about it, if you only have one Pokemon in play, that's just Lucario. If he gets knocked out, you're done. So, basically, it's high risk, but high reward.
Even if there's a difference of 3, you're still doing 180 plus 30 is 210.
Yeah, so...
It's pretty broken, if that's the case.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait on the translation to 100% confirm it. But I can see that this can work, but you're going to have to put yourself in situations that might harm you more. It's often than not.
Yeah, and Lucario is a bit of a glass cannon with 110 HP as well. So
yeah, so I think that's where the balancing act comes in, but we'll have to see what the English translation says just to be sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you kick back a look at the Lucario from the Plasma series, I don't remember if it was Storm or Freeze. I think it was Storm, the one that had Hurricane Kick that did 60 damage times the number of prize cards that were remaining, I think is what it was. That seemed to be really strong too.
On the field, or?
No, prize cards remaining. I think it's how many times the number of prize cards your opponent has taken.
Oh, gotcha.
So that seemed to be really good too, but it didn't see a whole lot of play either, so you never know. It's just going to have to be one of those things where we kind of wait and see what the English card says and then see what the metagame does with it.
Right.
But there we go. All right, so next up here we've got a Metal type Genesect EX.
I was really happy to see that. Even though I'm kind of sick of seeing Genesect and seeing all of the other guys like Lugia coming back for a break card and Ho-Oh getting, I mean, not break, but, an EX, but it did get a break, so, and then Ho-Oh getting an EX, and now Ho-Oh's getting a break, and then I want a little bit of spice, a little bit of variety, but...
I mean, at least they changed the typing, so
yeah.
It is the first time we're seeing a Metal type Genesect EX.
This the ability is so wide.
It is. It's huge. I have to actually take it down in order to read off the ability. Cassette change. Once during your turn before you attack, you may return a Pokemon tool card attached to this Pokemon to your hand, which would have been great on the old Genesect EX, but this one maybe not quite so much. It's not terrible though. And Rapid Blaster for 3 Metal Energy, 100 damage, and you may discard as many Metal Energy from this Pokemon as you like. It does 20 more damage for each Metal Energy discarded in this way. So if you have all 3 attached and you choose to discard all 3, that's 160, and Muscle Band is 180. You can always figure out a way to retreat it, even though we can't see what the retreat cost is, but 2. Down here it's 2. If you can find a way to retreat it and Metal Link it back on, then it's all right, I guess.
Now, the thing is, cassette change led me to believe that it would have more of its, drives and whatever, that change its typing and whatever, which would have been cool, but they didn't do that. But I guess that would have only made sense if it was a Genesect EX or a Genesect centric deck, which... set.
Yeah.
I'm getting really hot from whatever, and it's confusing me. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's weird that it gave it an ability that doesn't benefit it in any way.
Yeah.
So
I'll cover the next 2, and I'll let you take over from there. So we've got a Jigglypuff with a Snivy and a Spoink in the background. Just a Jigglypuff. It's pretty cute. Next up, we've got a Wigglytuff, just kind of lounging back there. I feel like Wigglytuff always has very similar attacks since the XY era started.
Yeah.
Expand and Double Slap.
Yeah, it's... I'm kind of sick of seeing Wigglytuff, to be honest. This is like our 3rd Jigglypuff, Wigglytuff line since XY started. And there's still plenty of XY Pokemon that haven't got any love at all. So just wanted to throw that out there. But one thing that I want to say, that I love how this card looks, just because for some reason, even though I know it's trees and stuff, it just looks like they're in some sort of ice cream Candyland type place.
Yeah, it does.
So, thought that was fun. Okay, so I guess I'll cover the next few ones. We've got Mega Altaria EX, which is a fairy type. I know a lot of people were saying, oh no, it's probably going to be a dragon type. But no, it's a fairy type, and I'm happy about that. But it's not the best. For Metal... Fairy and 2 colorless, 100 plus damage. If it has any special energy attached, it does 30 more damage, and then you heal 30 from each of your Pokemon. That could be good if you had a lot of damage spread out everywhere, but just 130, and you have to have special energy, which is going to happen with the double colorless. 130 damage for the 3 energy is just not really worth it.
Unless you're running double colorless and Wonder Energy at the same time. I don't even see why you would, because Wonder Energy is not that useful in this format.
Yeah, but that doesn't look like a stacking thing to me. It just appears to be...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's just 30, so it's just flat out 130.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, so... but we'll move on to a good EX, which, by the way, this is probably some of the best EX artwork that we have. I mean, next to Umbreon and Glaceon as well, but they really knew what to do with Kingdra EX here. Dragon type, but luckily for this Dragon type, yes, some of the attacks require multiple different kinds of energy, but you don't necessarily have to. So we've got Heavy Storm for colorless, 20 damage, discard any stadium in play. But then Dragon Trail, 60 plus damage for a water and 3 colorless. Might seem expensive, but we'll get to that. This attack does 30 more damage for each basic lightning energy attached to this Pokemon. So combine this with Magnezone, which you can also combine with Clement to get said energy out. You can attach a lot of lightning energy to this bad boy and do a lot of damage. Granted, you have to get the stage 2 Magnezone out, but I mean, how often did people do Blastoise and Keldeo? And yes, Blastoise was greatly enhanced by Archie, but people still did it before Archie. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's going to be very, very good. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of Kingdra EX decks, as well as you can do Double Dragon energy onto it. You know what I mean? So
you just won't get the boost because it requires basic lightning.
Oh yeah, that's right. So I'm an idiot. So yeah, forget that. Yeah, just run it with Magnezone. You're golden 100. Let's say 10 lightning, 4 water. That's a lot of energy. 4 water, 8 lightning. You're golden.
Pretty much. Alright, so next up here we've got Aerodactyl, which is another restored Pokemon coming out of Old Amber. 2 attacks, Bite, colorless energy, 1 colorless energy, does 30 damage. Jet Draft is pretty good. You're dealing 120 damage and discarding a special energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon.
With 0 retreat. And I just wanted to mention that I helped translate this card.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, awesome.
Actually, there are some of them that I haven't gone over. Like I did Heavy Storm for Kingdra as well.
Oh, okay. Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, and I think I did also roll over and swallow for Snorlax.
Well, then go for it and cover it yourself.
Yeah, fine, I will. So roll over, 30 plus damage. This attack can be used even if this Pokemon is asleep. If this Pokemon is asleep, it does 90 more damage, so that's interesting. It's really weird taking a look at this artwork. I know I said I wouldn't talk about the artwork too much, but kind of look at these people. They're not very Pokemon-esque. They're kind of weird, puppeteer acid trip things, but it's a Tomokazu Komiya. Dang it. I really need to work on that. The A looks like an O, so that's not my fault. Mr. Komiya, he's been doing a lot of acid lately, it seems. But I'm not going to complain, because I like how it looks. And then Swallow, 50 damage, heal from this Pokemon, the same amount of damage you did to the defending Pokemon, so, yeah. Anyways, continuing on, I guess I'll cover Lugia and Lugia Break. Both 120 HP. Ability is Pressure. When this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, damage done to the Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon's attacks is reduced by 20. Rising Burn, 60 plus. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a Pokemon EX, it does 60 more damage. So then, moving on to Lugia Break. Surely it must be good, right?
No.
So for 4 colorless, 150 damage, and then you discard 2 energy. It's not even it's just
yeah, exactly. I mean, these Break Evolution cards are supposed to help them. And he only gains an additional 30 HP, and you're having to do an attack that discards 2 of your energy to deal 150. It's not even a good round number.
They should have at least made it 1 energy, because a lot of people would be running double colorless, so if they want to discard the double colorless, that's their fault. They should have made it at least 1 energy card to make it a little bit more worthwhile, but...
And given it more than 150 HP, I think it deserved at least 170, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, whatever.
All right.
Lugia Break.
Yep. All right, so next up here we've got a Whismur. Whismur has the round attack, so we are starting to see some rounders again. This one only does 10 damage times the number of Pokemon with a round attack. And next up we've got Loudred. Loudred is looking like he's walking up to the stage, which is kind of funny because we saw the Explode on the last one. one card. Which one was it?
You know,
Grumpig.
The artwork on this kind of reminds me of something that would be out of like a Gorillaz music video.
It does. It's so funny. Oh man. So the attacks aren't impressive on that. But now we have Exploud. Exploud is an interesting one though.
Yeah, just for the last one.
Yeah, just for the last attack. Cacophony. At the end of your opponent's next turn, discard the defending Pokemon and all cards attached to it. I don't think that's going to lead to you getting a prize card. I feel like it's like a lot like the Giant Fan ability that Shiftry from Next Destiny's had, but I don't know.
Well, the thing is, which makes it iffy, is because it's at the end of your opponent's next turn, whereas Giant Fan, is that what it was, or Big?
Yeah, Giant Fan.
Giant Fan. It was an ability, and you just did it. This is an attack, and it's at the end of your opponent's next turn. So, with that being said, they can easily do that by counter that by switching, escape roping, things like that. But of course, you can always try to do the classic, trap it in with poison and using Dragalge so it can't retreat. So basically, they better hope that they have a switch or an escape rope, which I feel like escape rope has been being played a lot less of, as well as switch, because usually I feel like there used to be a time where people would have at least 3 switches, and now it's down to like 1 or 2. So it's definitely more risky, but I mean, hey, this way it gets into their discard pile, so you would actually make them lose by them not having Pokemon.
Right. I mean, it's essentially no different than using Doom Desire Jirachi, with being able to get rid of that Pokemon that's in the active position if they can't get out of the active. The only difference is you're going to take a prize instead of just having them put in the discard pile.
Right. So definitely interesting, and I want to see where that goes in the future.
Altaria is all you.
All right. So we've got Altaria, which is colorless type. So this is going to be real interesting once you guys see the full arts. Mega Altaria, then Kingdra, then Altaria. It's weird not seeing the Mega Evolutions next to their previous evolutions, but is there anything good about this? Powerful, gain 30 plus damage if this Pokemon has recovered any HP. It does 60 more, then remove 3 counters. I guess that's supposed to be damage counters from this Pokemon. And then Shining Wind for 3 colorless, 80 plus damage, and it has no weakness during your opponent's next turn. That's kind of interesting, but I mean, it doesn't really matter unless your Pokemon's a lightning type Pokemon, so.
Yeah, Gardevoir has the same ability, or same attack effect, I believe. Gardevoir EX.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so, should I just close out the Pokemon?
Go ahead.
Okay, so we got Minccino and Cinccino. And that's it. I don't think there's anything to talk about on Cinccino, is there?
Nope, definitely not.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. Oh, we got Fossil Excavation Kit. Search your deck for up to 2 Old Amber Aerodactyl, Helix Fossil Ammonite, or Dome Fossil Kabuto and put them into your hand. Shuffle your deck afterwards. So that is an easier way to get your fossil cards into your hand. And if you can somehow figure out a way to get your restored Pokemon onto the bottom of your deck, so that it's within the last 7 and you can use the fossil card, it's a big process. I wish fossil Pokemon had a little bit better of a mechanic than that, but you can't be picky.
Yeah.
The Evolution Spray got a reprint here, and it's a very small image.
That's my favorite.
Then go for it.
This will be very good synergy with Mega Alakazam. If you put Spirit Links on them, then you can evolve from one Alakazam, Devolution Spray it, and then put it onto the other Alakazam, and continue to put damage counters, and then that's how you're doing the serious damage.
Not to mention,
along with Trevenant. So.
And it works with bats as well.
Yep. So I'm so happy to see Devolution Spray. I was very happy that it got reprinted. Unfortunately, they're out of the era of trainer full arts, or golden borders, I'm sorry. So we're probably never going to see a gold border Devolution Spray, but no matter, I'm just happy to see it back in the format.
Yep. So since I covered Umbreon EX, I may as well cover Mega Catcher, because we were talking about a card that would help that. Mega Catcher, switch one of your opponent's benched Mega Evolution Pokemon with his or her active. No coin flip necessary. So now, that whole thing of being able to knock out a Mega Evolution Pokemon is a lot easier if it's already got damage and it's on the bench and you're able to hit it for enough to knock it out, or even if it's got a high retreat cost as a Mega. Obviously it wouldn't work on Mega Manectric because it has a free retreat cost, but anything else, get it up in the active spot, do damage until you knock it out, then I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, you just gotta hope that it doesn't knock you out first, because Mega Evolutions do put out a lot of damage.
They do.
So,
you cover the fossil cards.
So we've got Helix, Fossil, Omnite. If you don't know how the fossil mechanic works, you look at the bottom 7 cards of your deck. You may reveal whatever, for each one. So for Helix Fossils, for example, if you find an Omnite, you can put it onto your bench and then you shuffle your deck. Same thing with Dome Fossil Kabuto and Old Amber Aerodactyl.
All right. Energy Pouch is a Pokemon tool card you can attach to your Pokemon that doesn't already have a tool card attached to it. If the Pokemon this tool is attached to is knocked out by damage from a Pokemon's attack, return all basic energy attached to your Pokemon from your discard pile to your hand. The reason it says that is because when something gets knocked out, it has to go in the discard pile first before you can recover that energy, so it actually is in the discard pile.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's pretty cool.
I agree.
It just depends on what you're actually playing. If you're playing something that has a lot of energy attached to it, for example, anything using, like, for example, the Kingdra, with all the lightning energy attached, you're definitely going to want that energy back. So that's definitely a good card that you could have attached to it. So next up, we've got Twisted Spoon, which would be kind of a cool card for Alakazam if you weren't using the Spirit Link on it. But you prevent all effects of attacks except damage done to this Pokemon, done to the Pokemon this card is attached to. All effects already on this Pokemon are not removed. This is pretty cool just in that, you can get past Pokemon that, like, for example, if you had this attached to a Carbink, for example, that had Safeguard, and they had an attack, say a Pokemon EX had an attack that got through Safeguard, but you had Twisted Spoon attached to Carbink. I know you would never do this, but just for example, it would then block that. So it could find its uses, just gotta do some looking.
Absolutely. And of course, we got our respective Spirit Links. We all know what those do by now. And just in the spirit of my co-anchor person of the channel being my stepson, that goes by the name of N, he is very happy to see a reprint of N. Highly controversial.
I'm very mixed on it.
Yeah, it's a highly controversial card, but I feel like it provides a bit of balance back to the game again. The only bad thing about it is the fact that there are players who are utilizing N with VS Seeker and actually baiting their opponents into playing N, into thinking they're playing N when they're not, and it's causing those people to have game losses. As a judge, I've seen this happen way too many times. So N bait is really kind of a bad thing for the game, but unfortunately some players are utilizing that to their effect. They are trying to crack down on people who are playing N. If they get it out of the discard pile with a VS Seeker, they are to show it to their opponent and immediately put it into their hand, or if their hand is on the table, turn it over. If you place that N card down onto the table in the face-up position, it is now your fault that you're baiting the opponent into thinking you're playing N when you're not. Even if you didn't mean to, and your opponent goes to do it, it's your fault now. They've been penalizing the opposing player for shuffling their hand in, but I feel like now that's going to change, and I'm pretty sure that I heard that is going to change. So
yeah, and I'm mixed on that standpoint as well, because if you're an avid player, you should know very well if your opponent is saying whether or not they're playing in. Like, you should definitely ask if you see that on the table, like, are you playing that? That can definitely avoid a lot of stuff. I remember particularly one time at a league, someone thought I was playing 2 supporters, and there was a little bit of stuff with that. I definitely think, you should know what is being played and what is not. But at the same time, when you're trying to get the game quick, and if someone's done quickly, and if someone's purposely trying to make you think that they're playing it so they disqualify you, I almost cursed. What's the point of even playing then? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Why go through the effort of building a good deck just so you can make your opponent get disqualified because you're an asshole? Sorry, I had to say that at least.
That's okay.
Still, that just ruins the spirit of the game. And if you do that, you are one. You are a major dickhead. I just have to say that. Sorry for the obscenities, but it's the truth. So
I have to
don't
agree.
do that.
Basically, the lesson to be learned here is players, play smart. If your opponent does this kind of thing, make sure you ask. Be conscious of what's going on in the game. Don't just ever assume that they're playing it, because even if they meant to play it and they see an opportunity, they're going to be like, no, I didn't play it. I've seen it happen. I can't go into specifics because I am a judge, but I have seen it happen, and I know for a fact that they baited their opponent. But as a judge, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt because it's not physical evidence, but I know, given the circumstances, that this person was going to play an N over the other supporter in their hand because it was just completely night and day difference. But I don't want to go into a rant about that. Regardless, stay smart, players. N is back in the format, whether we like it or not. Make sure you protect yourself and make sure you're talking to your opponent and making clear whether or not they are playing the card that they're getting out of the discard pile if it happens to be an N.
Right. The last few points that I want to make about this, that's why it's controversial, is that N is a very good card. People are saying they're welcoming it back because there's no good draw support. But the thing is, but then they also want to complain that the game's never changing. So you can't be happy about N, but then complain about the game never changing. Because if it does change, then you learn to live with the draw support you have. That's one thing that I have to say, but I am glad this particular card is back, the effect of the card. I know N is a very big fan of N because, you know, he based his name off of that. But the point is, there's so many gym leaders and other characters within the X and Y series that you could have used instead of N. And the same goes for Skyla. I love the Skyla card. I love the Skyla full art especially. It's very, very good looking. But it's not necessary. You know, Skyla could have very easily been Viola. That's the photography one, right? Yes. And then N could have very well been that mustachio guy, that the 8th gym leader. I forget his name.
Oh, I can't remember it either.
You know, so there's so many possibilities. Why do a character from the 5th generation when there's so much untouched in the 6th, and we're going into the 7th with Sun and Moon? So, like, people were big fans of the 6th generation, and it's kind of like they're giving the 6th generation the middle finger.
They are, really, and, you know, we haven't seen much with Team Flare either, so there's that.
Yeah, and the Team Flare mechanic was so cool, too, and they were just, like, one and done with that.
Pretty much, yeah. And not to mention, too, you know, what you mentioned, even with the professors, they're giving all the different professors the love. You don't see Professor Oak getting reprinted a million times, or Juniper, or...
Yeah, I mean, if they reprinted Juniper again, I think I would have actually quit the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. Anyways, we've ranted on long enough about this. Go ahead and cover Team Rocket's handiwork.
Team Rocket's handiwork, I thought was going to be a Shadow Triad-like card, and you'll see why momentarily. But very, very good card for mill decks. Flip 2 coins for each heads. You discard 2 cards from the top of your opponent's deck. So realistically, if you get 2 heads, which isn't, you know... You say there's a 50% chance to actually get that for each coin flip, but I think the odds are actually more in favor of getting heads. So it's very, very likely that you could be discarding 4 cards from your supporter.
Yeah,
and I mean, you really have no other supporter that you would need to play in a Durant mill deck. So
I was gonna say, combine it with Durant. You've got Mountain Munch?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that discards a lot of cards as well. So
for each Durant in play, I believe it is.
No, that's the old one.
Oh, wait.
I'm talking about the new one, the grass type one.
The new one is damage counters, maybe?
It could be, yeah.
Something like that, but still, I believe you can discard a lot of cards, and
you got Trick Shovel too.
Yeah, so a lot of opportunities for mill decks coming again. And then our final card is Chaos Town. On the red side, this side right here, you see my mouse. Chris, do it with your mouse.
I have been doing it.
Okay, so the red side, you choose which way it faces. This player's Pokemon cannot be asleep or paralyzed. If they are, remove those status conditions. And then the blue side, choose which way this card faces. This player's Pokemon cannot be poisoned or confused. So
there's that. Okay, we're going to look at our full arts here. We're just going to look at them. I'm going to put them up on the screen one by one here. I think I can put like 3 or 4 in one. maybe.
Yeah. That's from my screen. That's definitely tight.
Yeah, I don't think I can. I'll do 2 at a time. Let's just do 2 at a time. So we've got Glaceon and we've got Alakazam. This style of full art is so powerful looking to me.
Which one? Or both?
Just in both of them in general, the darker backgrounds.
Yeah.
It gives the card a whole new feel.
This is just the scan. They are a little bit brighter than that.
Are they really? Okay,
yeah,
see.
But just a little bit.
I wasn't quite as lucky as you.
Not quite not quite the Alakazam, but the Glaceon is definitely a lot brighter.
Okay. I mean, it's definitely a new style pattern in the background, at the very least.
Yeah. The Glaceon I like a lot. I'm not feeling the face pose, but the wind, the elegance of it, it does work well. I love the pose for Alakazam, although it just the background pattern feels too much like the red Mewtwo from Breakthrough. But no matter. This one I'm going to talk about heavily, and then I'll also bring up Umbreon. Mega Alakazam EX Full Art is possibly the greatest Mega Full Art there's ever been.
What is your reasoning behind that?
It's just extremely well designed. The pose of Mega Alakazam, you can see a lot of the actual Pokemon. The Zen Force, as you know, the text has usually been very obnoxious and big. This isn't too big. It's nice and clean. It just seems where it should be. And, you know, it might sound stupid, but I just love the spoons everywhere. Because not only do you have all the regular spoons, but then you have silhouettes of spoons in the background. So he's just in some giant spoon vortex. And I just think it's the best looking Mega Full.
Now I can see that. Yeah, for some reason I could not see the spoons when I was originally looking at this, but now that you mention it, I can see it.
Yep, he has a crap ton of spoons.
All right. So yeah, and then we got Umbreon, which I personally feel is kind of a weird pose.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I still think it looks real nice. By the way, this scan does not do it any justice. The texture and the actual styling of this card is much better than that of the scan, if you could believe that.
Okay, well, that's always a good thing.
Yep, so scrolling down, we've got Genesect and Mega Altaria. Genesect EX Full Art is very, very good, just because if you take a look at the pattern I'm showing with my mouse, at the very bottom there are like very hexagonal breaks in the pattern, which gives it the kind of like techno vibe that Genesect has. So I thought the texture pattern was very, very well designed for Genesect.
I agree. Then we've got Mega Altaria here as well, which I feel it doesn't look like a fairy type at all with this kind of artwork.
See, here's the thing. I talked about this in my video where I go over all the artwork specifically. This would have been good. As you can see, Miss Purge is one of those ones where it's very obnoxious and big and just like, hey, look at the attack name. I get that Mega Altaria is super poofy. That's its thing. But you'll see later on. Actually, let's do it right now. Scroll down and get Altaria EX, would you?
Yep.
Okay, so we got both of these on the screen. I imagined Mega Altaria being exactly how it is, but how Altaria is. Basically, a pose similar to that, with the background being what Mega Altaria has, the pink and the sparkles. If it had looked like how they made Altaria EX look like, I think it would have been an amazing card, and you would have been able to see the, how it resembles a fairy type.
Yeah, I have to agree with you.
But yeah, the Altaria EX is very good as well. It's very, very blue, but I think it works. But yeah, I wish they would have done Mega Altaria a little bit differently. Basically, just go into Photoshop, scale it down a little bit, show more of that pink background, and we would have been golden.
Yep, I agree.
So I'll take these two off, and then we can do
Kingdra and Team Rocket's handiwork.
Yep. Kingdra. Now, don't let it fool you, because I thought it would have been interesting if they did this. Like, it kind of looked like a jet black. It is more of an eggplant purple, the background of Kingdra, but it still looks really cool. I just imagine it kind of being like ink, and it's just kind of clearing the pathway of the ink.
Yeah, I do see that. I do see that, definitely. And then Team Rocket's handiwork. The full art is the 3 Rocket Grunts forming the Team Rocket R, which you can see shadowed there in the background.
You know, I didn't even notice that for the first day or so. I just thought they were doing some cool pose, and I wasn't really paying attention to the card because it was all dark and crooked, so I wasn't paying attention. But then when I saw a better scan of it, I was like, oh, there's a big R in the background, and they're making the pose.
Yep. So there's that. And since you were the lucky one to have pulled one of these, I will let you talk about the secret rare.
Okay, the secret rare Alakazam EX is... So with the secret rares where they do the Pokemon in the background and whatever, I wasn't a fan of all of them at first. As you know, if you guys follow me on Twitter, the Mewtwo's I compared to stickers you would get out of like a 25-cent sticker machine, like at a Pizza Hut. Mm-hmm. Like it just looked so tacky and bad. But then when you actually got them in person, even the blue one, which I still don't like a lot today, the mixture of the blue and the gold works very, very well. But they do look nice in person. But when you first see them, you're just kind of like, eh. But then when they did the Gyarados, I did like that one a little bit better. But I was still like, I know I'll like this more in person, but I'm still not the hugest fan. And then, of course, when I've got it in person twice now, I was like, wow, man, that is pretty nice. This is the only one of those that I was like, holy crap, that is absolutely amazing. And it holds true to that in person. If you guys did not watch my opening, you might want to go check my reaction to that. It wasn't the hugest reaction in the world, but I was still very, very shocked from my box of XY10 that I got this card just because of how hard it is to get. It is darker in person than you would expect, but the texture on it's phenomenal. The colors are just great. It's a beautiful card, and I liked it just as much as I liked it when I saw it, and that's saying a lot. They are improving.
Yeah, they definitely are. I think the choice of Pokemon, too, really works well. Even though the typing doesn't match up, Umbreon and Lugia look really nice on this card.
Yeah, especially this purple lightning storm that they got going on, and at the bottom, the card, it doesn't show it in the scan very well, but those rocks at the bottom are like green.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
okay, that's interesting.
It has a nice green and purple. Those are complementary colors, so green and purple. No, actually, purple and something else. Or is green and purple?
I think it's green and purple.
No, green and red are complementary. So yellow and purple. But I think it's just my own admiration of green and purples together. I like green and purple together. So forgive me for that. I got my colors mixed up wrong, but regardless, it makes a very nice contrast, I think. So anyways, we'll move on to the last bit of this, and these
we'll try to move through this a little bit quicker, I think.
Yeah, so I'll just go through them real quick for Mega Audino, and then you'll get the Zygarde.
Zygarde,
so
perfect.
We've got Deerling. I just want to mention it's really cool that they have the pink form of it. So we've got another Fennekin, we've got Gothita, we've got a Cottony. I'm not going to throw up the image on screen. We've got a Whimsicott. We've got Diancie EX, 150 HP, very low. Twinkle Veil, as long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon. Any damage done to your Pokemon by attacks is reduced by 30. And then Miracle Stage is actually pretty decent for a fairy and 2 colorless, 60 plus damage. If there's a Stadium card in play, it does 50 more damage. Then we've got a Meowth. There's also a Kangaskhan in there. It's not really worth throwing up, though. We've got Audino EX, which is possibly the cutest EX to have ever been printed. I cannot stand it. It's so cute. I'm depressed. I'm actually physically hurting inside that it does not have a full art. Let's see. Drain Slap for a colorless, 20 damage, heal 20 from this Pokemon, and then 3 colorless, Do the Wave, amazing name, 60 plus damage, and it does 10 more for each of your benched Pokemon.
It's not the first time Audino has had that attack either.
Yeah. So then we have Mega Audino for 220, Magical Symphony, 110 damage. If you played a supporter card from your hand this turn, this attack does 50 more damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So it's not great, but it's not bad, I don't think. I mean, how often do you play supporters? That's, a decent amount of damage to do.
That's why Galeta's so good.
Yeah, so we've got Minccino, doesn't have a card. We've got Cinccino, Fairy Drop is pretty cool. Remove 5 damage counters from one of your Pokemon that has any fairy energy attached to it, so I like that. We've got Lass's Recommendation. Draw cards equal to number of your opponent's benched basic Pokemon. So that's a very specific card. I don't know if it will get any play ever, but
nope.
It's there. We've got Fairy Garden, and they don't show it, but I'll throw up a image of this, so I'll take that down. Double Colorless Energy. They have a special double colorless energy for this deck that has the background being pink. So I like that a lot.
Oh wow, that is neat.
Yep.
Okay, so let me cover the Zygarde EX Perfect Battle Deck. We've got a Diglett here first, then a Larvitar, and then we've got this cool Pokemon right here. Very, very neat. Regirock EX, Fighting type, 180 HP basic. Regipower, each of your fighting Pokemon does 10 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, excluding Regirock EX, and it has Bedrock Press, 100 damage for 3 fighting energy. During your opponent's next turn, any damage done to this Pokemon by attacks is reduced by 20. So the ability alone adds an extra, we were talking about this earlier, adds extra damage to an already really, really powerful typing with strong energy and, what am I looking for? The stadium.
Fighting Stadium.
Fighting Stadium, yeah, I don't know where I blanked there for a second. So it's already got a lot of extra power that way. Next up.
Yeah, I think it's definitely pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Next up here, we've got Riolu, which is just another Riolu from the set. We've got a fighting type Lucario, so we have a metal and fighting type in this video, as you can see. This one is nowhere near as good as the metal type one. Then, just as much as N may enjoy the fact that there's an N reprint, he is going to hate knowing that there is yet another Hawlucha card in this set. Thank goodness.
It's doing a backflip.
And it's doing a backflip. That's a lot of Hawlucha.
Yeah.
Helioptile had a lot too, but...
So now for the Carbink. Let me get the actual card so I can confirm some stuff real quick. Can you hear me at all? Where did I...
Lightly.
Crap, I don't know where... Oh, there we go. I found the cards. Let me sift through them real quick. So we're going to show the Carbink on screen. It has 90 HP. Now, I did think this was shiny. I would think people would get confused by this too. The body of it's black. The crystals on it are a darker blue than normal. But someone did point out to me that the white poof on its neck is white and not blue, so it is in fact not a shiny Carbink, which I'm very sad about, but also kind of happy about because it still has the specialness saved for shiny Pokemon. It does have the Safeguard ability, so effects of attacks, I believe, including damage from Pokemon EX aren't done to this Pokemon. I don't know if that's the exact reading, yes, but that's the basicness of it. And the attack is... what is that? Something. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it just does 40 damage.
Okay.
So yeah, that's that for the Carbink break.
All right. So for Carbink break.
Oh, for the Carbink. Sorry.
For Carbink break. This is really, really cool. Oh wow, this is a huge image.
Wow, holy crap. And it's actually very powerful too.
It is. Diamond Gift for 1 fighting energy does 20 damage, and you attach 2 energy cards, not just basics, 2 energy cards from your discard pile to one of your benched fighting Pokemon. So it's a lot like Landorus, Baby Landorus, dealing 20 and then getting an energy out of the discard pile. But in this case, you get 2 out of the discard pile, and it's any energy you choose, so you can even get back strong energy with this.
Mm-hmm. And it even may be worth it for the Pokemon that are very hard to power up to just use, such as, what is it? It's a Team Flare card. It's a...
Headringer?
No. It's the one that discards things. It's very good for Night March.
Discards things.
Yeah, remember you search your deck and then you put it in your discard pile and people use
Battle
that?
Compressor.
Yep, there we go. So Battle Compressor, some strong energy, and then use that and attach them so you can get 2 special energy attachments. I mean, I think that would definitely be a worthwhile thing to do. But the thing is, too, not only with that, it does a pretty solid amount of damage if you're attaching strong energy to it and attaching a muscle band to it and fighting Stadium and having Regirock in play. You're doing a lot of damage with this thing.
You know what's interesting too is that actually this would add some power to Mega Mewtwo X.
Yeah, it would.
So that's kind of interesting. That would be worth trying it out.
Yeah. Wait,
okay.
No. Mega Mewtwo X is Psychic type, remember? They didn't.
Oh, they can't because it's benched fighting Pokemon.
Yeah,
no, it doesn't work.
Just because he has the fighting energy and they completely screwed him over does not mean that you can do that. But still, Machamp EX, here I come, and all of these other fantastic fighting Pokemon.
Indeed. All right, so next up here we've got the Zygarde EX Perfect Form. So we had 10%, 50%, and now we have our
100%.
Perfect Form, 100%. 3 attacks on this card, very much like Lucario EX. Earth Pulse, for a single fighting energy, does 20 damage and 20 more damage if there's a stadium in play. Cell Storm, 60 damage, heal 30.
Which is pretty solid, by the way.
It is.
Because if you have a fighting stadium in play, that's 40 extra damage just for the fighting stadium.
Yep. And then we have, 20 extra damage for fighting stadium.
Well, no, that's what I meant, like 20 plus the 20.
Okay, gotcha, yes. All right. And then... I see what you mean. You're talking about the first attack. Okay, I thought you were talking about the second one.
Oh, no, the first.
All right. Ground Force for 2 fighting and a colorless does 100 damage. So that would cover it for Zygarde EX. And the only missing component is the Squishy. Power Memory is the actual name of this item card. In the anime, they call him Squishy for whatever reason I don't understand.
Because he's squishy.
He's squishy, but...
I hate that word, though.
Yeah, I do too. The Zygarde EX this card is attached to can also use this attack, and you still need the necessary energy required to attack. It is basically bringing back the G-Booster similar effect here for 2 fighting and a colorless, all cell burn, 200 damage, and discard 3 energy cards attached to this Pokemon. So it is G-Booster, except it doesn't go through everything, and you're discarding 3 energy.
And you can have 4 of them, though. That's the thing. And the thing is, with Carbink, you get those energies back, so...
Yep, it has a lot of synergy. We have our N that we talked about earlier when we went on like a 5-minute rant about, and then strong energy as well.
Yeah, so hopefully we get a strong energy reprint. I'm actually hoping for that, but I just feel like it might not happen, but we can always hope.
Yep, indeed. So does that cover everything? Are we missing anything else? You said there were some cards that didn't show up on here that...
Yeah, but we're just, we talked about them and we're just going to pop them up on the screen.
Okay, so we did that.
So... Dear God, I hope we're done. And this is a great time to stop just because that dog is barking now for 2 in the morning for some God unknown reason.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, so thank you all so much for watching, everyone. I'm going to pull up OBS. You're going to see like a big repeating window, but about an hour and a half. I don't know how long I was recording for. I think it was like about 4 or 5 before we started.
I'm scared to look, but it's probably very close to that.
Yeah, so it's like about 125. So we're going to wrap this up fairly quickly. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like. We always try to do these set reviews as fast as possible, talking about all the playability of the cards as well as the a little bit of the design of the full arts and whatnot. And we hope you enjoy.
Absolutely. As always, I always have a great time here with my friend Andrew 8Bboc. So if you guys are not subscribed to him, go and check him out. We've done a lot of videos together. We're going to continue to do them as long as we both are remaining interested in Pokemon. So we'll definitely be doing that. Like I said, I hope you guys do enjoy this video as well. We like to cover these videos as in-depth as possible without trying to go way overboard. But we want to make sure we do the cards justice as well. So for those of you who have stuck around for the whole video, thank you. It means a lot to us that you are willing to do that.
Especially to our retention time.
Yes, our retention time, our watch time, whatever the case may be. That helps us out more than anything. So thank you guys so much.
Also, if you guys haven't been to Professor K's channel, you could go over there from my channel. But unfortunately, I'm pretty sure all of you guys that are subscribed to me are already subscribed to him. So, but I still got to put that plug out there so I don't seem like the jerk that doesn't plug anyone.
That's all right. So anyways, guys, like he said, be sure to like both of our videos. If you're watching on his channel, like his video. If you're watching from my channel, be sure to hit the like button on my channel. If you have anything you want to discuss in the comment section, feel free to do so. And
on both of our channels, because I like interacting, damn it.
Yes, unfortunately, my time has not been quite so kind to me about comments as much as it used to be, but I'll do what I can, of course, to keep in contact with you guys. Anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and wrap things up here. Subscribe if you like the both of us, if this is the first video you're watching on either one of our channels. and we will see you guys next time on our respective channels as well. So until next time, guys, I'm Professor K for the Pokemon Evolutionaries.
And I'm Andrew from 8-Bit My leg is asleep now, so thank God we're ending this.
All right, guys, you all take care.
Peace out.